Hey guys, sorry, I just realized I'm a minute tardy. Sorry about that.
Hey, brother. Nice to see you, James.
Yeah, you too. I guess you guys can't really see me. I'm in the shade, but I'm outside, so it's probably not the best. I think I'll just switch around. It's all. Hang on.
Oh, I like the spot up on top of the new deck there.
Yeah, I have 3 more feet of sunlight than I ever had before. It's I'm enjoying it. I've in the late afternoon. It's typically like my sun's gone, and now I have all this extra real estate where it's still there.
Say made the deck bigger. Nice.
Yep.
I guess you might as well, right? If you're gonna rebuild it, build it
Yeah, I've
back
been
better,
wanting to do it that
as
way
they
for a
say.
long. Yeah, I've had these plans for a while. I just was waiting to fall off the deck before I could start them. It's an important part of the recipe, the motivation recipe. So,
Uh, God bless. I love it.
all right. Well, light crowd today, but I guess we'll go ahead and get started, and we could just put the recording up and whatnot. It's really not like a lot to cover today. Definitely something important though, for sure. In case anyone is not aware, Josh has put together a proposal of sorts, and he's offering to become the DAO treasurer, which we need. And I can't think of anyone more qualified for that. So I'm really excited about this today. But I guess I'll just let Josh say whatever words he has, and basically, if there's any questions, this is just an open session. So I say you just talk as freely as you want to, and we'll just go from there. If it gets out of hand, I'll start modding, but I don't think that's necessary at all. So thanks for being here, Josh.
Yeah, good to see you guys. And I'm glad that we're doing something with the Treasury. I've been thinking about it for a little while, and I guess talked about this maybe last time we got together, was just moving slow with even the whole Dojo Earth DAO process, and getting people comfortable with, everyone has different levels of experience in crypto, right? So some are like brand new entrants into crypto. Others, like Johnny, play around a little bit more and understand some things. But I think it was important that we didn't just like rush into anything. And even, the proposal that I put forward, I think was a pretty conservative one too, is to say, hey, we'll kind of keep, like 2/3 of it basically just kind of sitting there parked. And then maybe with a little, piece of it, about 1/3 of it or so, we should start to generate some income and some yield off of it as well. So if I'm looking at the proposal in the Discord, let me actually go find that and see if I can't pull that up for us here.
Great.
There we go. Okay, and I'll share my screen.
Great.
Yeah, I'll share that. Okay. Yeah, so this was the proposal that I put forward, and I won't read it, word for word here, but essentially there were 4 different options, and from option 1 to option 4, the first one being basically just kind of leave it all in Ethereum, which is where it's sitting right now, but we can lend out our Ethereum. So we wouldn't really put much at risk from that perspective, but we wouldn't really be gaining much either. So it would be a very, very minimal interest that we would be looking to, get per year. The benefit here is that, we're just going to ride the waves of Ethereum, and as it comes back up, our DAO treasury will come back up as well. The little bit of yield that we might get, well, that might pay for maybe turning the lights on for like one of the functions on the website or something like that, right? Like the plugin feature to join the DAO. That's kind of all that would cover essentially. And it looks like there really weren't any votes for that, other than just kind of the one basic one that I put down there for everyone to see which button to click. The next stage up would be, well, let's maybe transfer some of our assets into Bitcoin and maybe diversify that way. So we've got some Ethereum, we've got some Bitcoin, but still like option one, we're not really putting it at risk. We're just lending it out and getting a really minimal interest on it. I don't think we had any takers on that one either. The third and fourth options where it seemed like where we were kind of between, or the fifth one being, hey, maybe we just don't do anything at all. The third option was we take a third of the assets, or 30% of the assets. We keep the other 70% in Ethereum and just do a very minimal interest yield like we just talked about in the first two options. But we'll take a third of it roughly, and then we pair that Ethereum with another coin. So in order to pair it, or because we're pairing those coins together, we would get paid a higher interest. Essentially, it's called like a liquidity pool. So we're helping create a market using our Ethereum coins that we have, and we would add it into some other market, which I would kind of manage and figure out what's the optimal space for us to be in. It might rotate. Typically you want to sit there and, at least let it earn some yield for a period of time though, but we would pair it with some other coin and we could get, call it 10 to 30% yield on our money, which would give us a little bit more. And we would earn, collectively, I think it says here, maybe over like $400 or $500 on the course of the year if we did something like that. Really on the low end, it could be more, right? Could be less, but those are just sort of some projections. And we had a couple people that voted for that, which was good because that's kind of, I think, a baby step into maybe how we could manage some things there. And then option 4 was very similar to the first option, or the option I've just mentioned, which is we take 70% of our Ethereum and we park it, earn some minimal yield on it. So still the lion's share of the treasury is just sitting in Ethereum and earning us a minimal yield, call it like 1, 2, maybe 3%. And then we take that other third, or 30%, and we would pair it with something that's a little bit more out there on the risk spectrum. So it could exit Ethereum altogether. And then beyond just Ethereum, maybe I would put it into a couple other paired coins or tokens that might generate maybe 100 to 300% yield on them. And if we did that, well, it's possible that we could even, see upwards of $4,000 or $5,000 return on our initial $10,000 investment over the course of the year. So we had more takers in number 4. It looks like that's where the vote passed. We had 9 people or 8 people, I guess, that voted for that one. We had 2 people that voted for option 3. And then we had 2 people who voted for maybe we just keep the treasury alone and just don't touch anything right now. And I think the sentiment there was probably around like, what are we using the funds for? What are we doing with the money? And I think that's an unknown question. So to me, I don't know. I just know that we've got some assets that we've pulled together. And I think it would benefit all of us to start to apply some attention to them rather than just let them collect dust and figure out what we're going to do with it at some future unknown time with some unknown, purpose for this. I think we start giving it purpose, and as we grow the treasury, well, we'll be able to do more things with it because instead of maybe having $10,000, maybe we have $50,000 at some point in the future, and then we can make some more determinations as to, okay, well, now we can, put it towards land or whatever we decide that we want to do. So yeah, that was kind of the 4 different proposals that we had here, and where things sit right now. I'll show you a couple other things here. So I want to go to, like, here's an example of some liquidity pools, right? And there's a couple different examples that I've got up here, but even if we paired Ethereum with a coin like Solana, or if we paired Ethereum with a stable coin, USDC, and we could talk about stable coins. There's been some interesting things going on there too, if you guys want. But this is one that has retained its value and it's still worth something, which is good. So we could simply just pair our Ethereum with a stable coin and we could earn potentially about a 30% yield throughout the course of the year as well. That's not altogether a bad option, especially with where things are at right now in the market. The downside with pairing it to a stable coin versus pairing it to something like Solana is if and when this market does come back up and Ethereum, let's say, has a 20, 30, 40% gain, well, the other pair is a stable coin.
Right.
So half of our assets would be paired in a non-growing asset. It's not altogether bad. We'd still have our Ethereum growing. We'd still be getting a yield. But we might be better off pairing it with something like Solana. And let's see if I can get this thing out of my way. There we go. Okay. So this is a chart here looking at blue is
We're not
Ethereum.
presenting, FYI.
Am I not sharing?
I can see.
I can see.
Oh, weird. I don't know. My Zoom's acting weird then.
Okay. Well, shoot. All right. Maybe try and refresh that. But this chart that I've got here, Noam, essentially, you know, even without seeing it, basically you would see that the blue line and the orange line more or less mirror each other, right? So the orange line is the deeper one that actually has a 78% retracement. And this is looking at since the peak of November 2021, how far these assets have declined. So Ethereum is down 55% from that peak and Solana is down 78%. But what you might notice, especially as we kind of go a little bit closer in time here, so I'll kind of zoom in, they're pretty similar for how they track one another, which is what you want to see from when you're pairing two coins together. Because I mentioned if Ethereum goes up and we're paired with like a stable coin, well, one of our assets isn't going up and one of them is. You kind of want to pair two assets that move in similar fashion. So if we do that, we can collect a similar yield, right, between Ethereum and Solana and Ethereum and USDC. And we can also then potentially appreciate together as well too, which is what you'd want to see. You want two assets that more or less move in lockstep. So I was actually looking at some different coins and this one seemed to be pretty close from how it mirrors one another. That could be an option as to, going back to this Discord here, within option 4 here, you know, I'd still say that we've got some flexibility. I don't have to go into complete like shit coins and just look for the highest yield possible. I can still manage this, you know, within that 30% and maybe within that 30% here, do something where I've got some fashion of it that's paired into like these two coins, right? So we've got some yield like this, and then maybe also pairing into, and here I think I actually need to change my MetaMask, bear with me. Okay. DeFi Kingdoms was another option that I had mentioned last time we talked. And if we go into some of the coins here, you can see when we start to pair some different assets together, the APRs are like 500%, 500%, 400%. Now, the values of these things are down considerably, right? And again, I don't know that we want to pair it with a stable coin, but without getting into, you know, which assets are better or worse, these top two would probably be one of the two options that I would think about. And the reason being there is if I go to this chart over here, this is a chart of Joule, which is one of the assets that we could look at. And you can see it's come down pretty significantly. So this one actually was November and it peaked in January from $20 and it's now like at $1. So, you know, this goes to when the market goes into real bear territory, how altcoins or anything that's basically not Bitcoin can really get the shit kicked out of it. But the benefit of investing at, you know, a theoretical bottom in something like this is if it doesn't go to zero and it comes back, and why would I think that Joule would come back? I can get into that. But if it comes back, we can appreciate along the way and we could collect a pretty healthy yield and get some additional coins in our pocket there too. So I might actually do this with a smaller percentage than the initial 30 that I was thinking about, just because from a risk management perspective, like I was saying before, we can still get some pretty decent yield. And I think do it with some more established coins. But whoops, let me go back to DeFi Kingdoms here. So for DeFi Kingdoms, at one point, this was a $2 billion market cap project. And this is just looking at the token itself, but the actual project is like a $2 billion market cap. So if I went back in here, I think they might even have it. And sorry if I'm jumping around here on a couple things, but within the jeweler, does it tell me? No, it used to tell me inside here. Okay, so they used to have right there what their current market cap was. And the last I looked, it was still over $1 billion market cap project. So for something that's gone from $20 down to less than $1 in value, you're still investing in like $1 billion company is the kind of way to look at that. The chance that they're going to completely go out of business, sure, there's a possibility of that, like anything. But I think we could put some of our money at risk still and do something like this, pairing that I looked at where we're getting what 400-500% potentially return on our shitcoins, and I'll just call them shitcoins. I don't care. We're getting 400 or 500% return on our shitcoins, but if those go from $1 to $2, I don't care. We've already doubled our money, and we're going to collect, 4 or 5 times the amount of the initial investment that we put in those coins there too. So I think there's a lot of potential upside with where the market's at right now, which is interesting to talk about because I'm sure anybody who's owning a lot of crypto and has a pretty decent stake in that is probably not feeling too great about crypto assets. And I don't know if Wookie's on here, but man, maybe he can talk a little bit about the exciting part of it too, because
hell yeah, bro.
There he
Taking
is.
some notes. When you get a chance, just let me know. I'll jump on in. I got some notes here though, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because there are so many positive signs around what is going to come. And I don't know if it'll be, a shit year for the rest of 2022. It could be, probably not. It probably will rebound a little bit faster. And from the data that I'm seeing, even if the stock market doesn't have a great year, crypto can still come back faster. It seems to be sort of front running the market at this point. So it went down first, then the market's following it. And I think the market will rebound after crypto rebounds, but I don't know. Maybe that's enough for right now. I've said a lot. I'm talking a lot of numbers anyhow. So I'll just shut up for a minute and see maybe what Wook's got to say.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? Glad to see you guys. Glad to see everybody pulling this together. This is real, right? Like I've been telling people, as some of you know, I've been working in Concave since they launched, right? We're getting off the ground. Bonding and staking's coming out. It's nice to launch a new project. It's been tough in this market. You're not lying. The whole ohm fork model took a giant shit, right? The whole market's down. But what I'm seeing from a macro perspective, I keep telling people, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, because people are looking at the fear. Oh, look, Luna blew up. Great, one shitcoin. Who gives a shit? They had like what, couple $2 billion valuation comparatively to the $1.3 trillion market cap out there. The market's doing fine. It's young. It's an immature market, but it's getting stronger. I'm seeing bigger players come in. So speculation, the mom and pops, the I bought some Dogecoin on Coinbase types aren't as aggressive right now. That crowd is pulled back, but I'm seeing institutional money. I'm seeing big money. Look at today and yesterday in El Salvador. And again, countries, we know what they are. They're but 44 of them, or 32 central banks and 12 financial authorities from, I think it was 44 different countries, came to the table in El Salvador and sat down and talked to their president. Again, is he in charge? I don't fucking know. I've never met the man. But they talked about Bitcoin. They talked about the digital economy. I'm seeing these countries basically getting ready to jump over the industrial banking era and from a system of barter to a system of pretty much digital barter, right? I'm not sure what the framework is going to look like. And that's why I'm watching these banks close. I don't trust the fuckers. But at the same time, there's something happening there, right? And so I'm just waiting for some of these floodgates to go. My recommendation for the DAO, again, I don't want to have to active trade money. I'm kind of a squirrel investor myself. I put money away. I plant the seed. Maybe in a couple of years it blooms something beautiful. Maybe it doesn't. I've had a lot of success with that, right? Heads I win, tails I only lose a little bit. And so, but from what you're talking about, a diversified structure of, yield farming, growth strategies, risk management, large cap holdings to try to hold bags in case it does fall. I trust your prowess, Josh. You have proven to me you're a good trader. You have proven to me you do your research on assets. I'm full send on whatever strategy you want to take it. Let's fucking run with it. Let's make some money. That's going to happen. I believe the market is at a bottom. Fears about capped out. I saw the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index was down to 10 last week, which is funny. Some of the astrology folks I follow talking about how this eclipse was based in fear, right? It was the certain decan it sat in would cause fear energies. I was talking about that a month ago before the real, you know, the Luna sell off, which is funny that Luna, obviously the coin Luna is the one that has the sell off with the, yeah, that's a nice little synchronicity right there. And so I think we're near the bottom. Maybe we drop again 21, 24. We're going to bounce. That dip is going to get fucking bought and we're going up. I think we're at the bottom of a major market cycle. So take it, run with it, man. I'll try to throw you guys some ups. I catch all kinds of insights from market players. We got millionaires, sometimes billionaires flowing through our server, just giving. We got big people invested. One of our guys, I don't know if you guys have watched Bike for Peace, his videos on Twitter, but he's out on yachts with these guys, people he worked with when he was in the trading world. He was basically the guy that would go in and warm up the room before big deals were done. And so he's still got connections from back then. But my story is not about that specific thing, but about the fact that people with a lot of money who don't necessarily understand crypto completely are seeing it for having value now. They're understanding that this is a hedge asset. They're watching fiat currencies take giant shits all over the world. They're watching gasoline hit, you know, $5.50 a gallon, diesel 650, shortages coming potentially, food shortage, scarcity. It's almost like you're watching people shake awake on the grand scale. And the repercussions of this awakening is bigger at each wave, right? And each time a shock hits the people, that's why I'm laughing today. They're doing that UFO bullshit in Congress, another fucking dangly show for you know. But maybe that's all people can handle at this point is some kind of a distraction while this transition happens. But from my perspective, I clearly see a transition in the world financial system. We're going through the motions right now. So take the best strategy you think you can to prepare us for it and run with it, man. I fully support you.
Wow.
Well, I want people to know that this will never work with Josh's treasurer if like he has to predict and tell us 30 days ahead of time, here's what I'm going to do exactly, and I will not change, and all that will be forever what we will do. That's how we burn down the shop. So I want people to know that what I'm voting for is that Josh is the treasurer for this, which means he makes the calls when he makes them. And if there's anything that I could secrete out of that, I think it would be really valuable if Dojo Earth Radio was to have some sort of like I'm just going to say the word weekly, but like a weekly radio show where if you were up for it, Josh, I wouldn't want you to have to do any prep at all. It's none of that. I don't want you to do any more work on this, but if you'd be down with that, we could host a radio spot like this, and it wouldn't have to be anything you'd prepare for. You just you know, what's the weather like out there? You know, how's the fish? You know, it's that kind of thing. Any good fishing holes, you know, about stuff like that. And I think just by you talking about it, and by people like Mike, whoever else wants to, you know, come in and weigh in on stuff, it's a great opportunity for people to listen, be involved, and learn along the way, because there's some big learning curves here for many, and it's just a great opportunity to do that. So if that helps clarify, or if anyone has any issues or questions about that, you know, feel free to say something. I just now voted for one of those options. I've been waiting until today to vote. So I would assume that you could be that you're going to see a few more votes even in the next day or two. But what I think they're doing is, as I've said before, is the 10 votes that are for option 4 is really just more of a barometer for Josh, just to kind of get the sentiment of how we feel. But he's still, this is a hunting party, and he's the chief, is really what it comes down to. So, you know, if we think the deer are over here, that's where we're going to go. And I think we'll just all learn a lot from hunting with Josh, basically, is how I'd like for this to be seen. So that's my 2 cents, except for that we could call shit coins manure coins, and just sort of like tap into the potential of what they could or could not bring, depending on what happens. So
That's a good approach to it, right? Because you know, shit coins got one connotation to it. Manure, that could be a good thing, right? It could be used for a lot of good things.
Yeah, it could still be awful, but it could be a good thing, right? It's going to really depend on the species, the variety, the diet, and what you're going to do with it, you know?
Mhm. Yep, yep. Are you eating the manure? Are you working it into the soil? What are
Yeah.
we using it for?
And the only
Um,
thing I would really throw up is like a huge red flag for me would be, holy fuck, we're not going to ever like invest in CBDCs, right? Like that would be really, really, it'd have to be an interesting discussion for us to sit down and talk about why we're going to go into CBDCs right now. So just want to point.
right. That's not on my palette of things that I was thinking about.
Okay.
And you know,
Jake,
the other thing
great. You get
I'll
a
say
vaccine
too.
and you get a free token. So go for it, man. Everyone's
That's
smart.
right. Vaxcoin. We're going to invest
Well,
in
right
this thing
now
called
they're
Vaxcoin.
proposing a mixture of the two, right? Where it won't necessarily be like a Fed coin, but more like if you want to have a stable coin, then you have to deposit, you know, US cuck bucks at the Federal Reserve, and we'll say you're good to go as a stable coin.
Yep.
That conversation, we had Luna blew up. The next day, Yellen was out on stage with her script already talking about these things. It kind of felt a little Patriot Acty to me. Just saying.
Mike, you and I didn't even talk about this, but I've been chatting with anybody who cares to have the conversation about what's going on with the stable coins. And my spidey sense was just like, this was an inside job kind of thing. Like,
Oh, 100%.
you
A lot of
needed to
people think
have,
Do Kwon's a Fed. 100, yeah, a lot
yeah,
of people think
you
that.
need to have like billions of dollars to be able to put at work to be able to manipulate the market in the way that they did. Now, was Luna and Terra maybe architecturally a little bit vulnerable? Yeah, sure, of course, right? Because they could take it down the way they did there too. But this wasn't just some dude who was a rich guy that was like, hey, I think I'm going to make a little bit of money on like, you know, tanking UST. And even from the figures I've heard of where you might have profited on the trade, it was maybe like a 2x profit or something like that. It wasn't anything ridiculous, even on the potential, you know, wallet that was taking it down. So this feels more, what do you need to do to come in and regulate a market? You need to destabilize the market.
Just like you see with XRP, right? The XRP lawsuit and the SEC, you had Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, had his nose so far up Christina Lagarde's asshole for years and years, all the central banks. He followed him around like a little lost puppy, went to all their meetings. And then at the last minute on the way out the door, the Trump team got him with a lawsuit, right? To me, it looks like they're trying to establish legal case law for what a security is and what isn't. And I think they're going to use this to build the new framework of what the new environment is. You know, I can only speculate at this point what that means, but I feel a setting up of a new market. And from what I gathered, if we do have these different central banks that want to come play in this market, you would need some kind of a framework so they're not completely cutting each other's throat, and they have some kind of a play pool to sit within. Walled gardens is the term I've heard. I'm not sure, right? And again, I don't support these things. It just is what it is. We have a society of people that want stable coins, right? We have a society of people that want central bank digital currencies or don't want to learn to install a MetaMask. So it just is. But I am very optimistic about where this is all going.
The irony
I think
is that
sorry.
What'll end up funding this eventually is just like El Salvador. It'll be Bitcoin bonds used to back up the false CBDCs as they're being distributed and spread around. So even going into Bitcoin while CBDCs is coming out is completely not a play against that. It's how else the CBDC is going to stand up the same way currency is going to stand up. You're going to have this bullshit note that's signed, except for this will be attached to a real asset that people actually understand is valuable. So
very interesting. If you watch these people, I watch them closely because they say a lot of stuff. What's his name? Augustin Carlson, the head of the Bank for International Settlements. Dude's like 800 pounds. Have you ever seen him? I don't know the man. He seems, relatively open when he's speaking, but he talked about how the soul of money is changing. And when you're going to put out a statement like that, you're not going to use those words lightly. That is reminiscent of the entire, the birth certificate backing for the bond market of today's financial system. And so I think there's a transition happening there. So I would say watch that closely too. The bond market is so important because it really is. People watch the stock market. The stock market's a fucking distraction. Watch the bond market. That's where the real foundational pieces are put in. And that's where this change is going to happen. So I'm expecting those Bitcoin-backed bonds to be way bigger than anybody else thinks right now. They said they had 5 billion in verbal commits already, but they didn't launch because market conditions. So they're waiting till the next pump cycle, essentially. and they had 44 people, 44 country representations there talking about this exact same thing for their countries as well the last 2 days. Big pieces are moving right now.
Yep.
This
They do it in
price
the middle
action
of
just
that-
needs to catch up.
When they do it in the middle of the fear cycle too as well. And I mean, they're depressing an asset and then they're repositioning, right? And they're going to come back up. And I mean,
You
Mike,
launch
you've
from the
heard-
bottom.
you've heard me talk about our potential retracements a number of times, and 80 to 90% retracement from where we were before brings us back down to the 2017 all-time high of Bitcoin, around $19,800. Now, I don't know if we get to 19,800, but you've heard me say that number a number of times over the last couple of months here, right? And we go back and forth about whether it's going to get to 33 or whatever. But you know, this cycle that we're in has been coming since before COVID, when before the launch of COVID, the financial market was fucking cracking at the seams. We had almost a collapse, and then this COVID thing happened and the whole market gave way. Well, that was sort of like a cover story to me from the financial
100%.
things that were
100%.
going on behind the scene, because that's what I look at is the financial stuff. And I'm like, dude, the market was already breaking.
Yeah, the Fed repo market started September
Yes,
11th,
that's right.
2019. September
That's right.
11th, they started printing money to keep the banking system from melting down. Yeah,
Yep.
I would recommend watching the 200 MA, the 200 moving average. It was about 19.9. Right now, it's about 21.4. Generally, Bitcoin will bounce off that 200 day if it falls through support. And so that's why I'm saying 21 to 24 is my zone, because that moving average is pretty much a rock solid bottom. I don't know if we'll ever get there though, because there are a lot of people out there saying, oh fuck, why is diesel $6.50 a gallon? These things are happening.
Maybe segueing back a little bit, because I think we're getting deep into the weeds here for some. Kind of going back to what James was saying as to, you know, how I'm going to manage, or, you know, what's going to happen on a day-to-day perspective. My intention is that every moon cycle, so every 30 days or 28 days, we're going to get back together and I'm going to give you guys a report. I do like the idea of trying to hop on weekly and do some Dojo Earth radio. Maybe if you can help me be flexible on like what date I'd come on, so it's not like every Tuesday night or every Wednesday night or something like that, then I think I could probably work that in from like a 20-30 minute kind of thing here and there. I don't know if I'll be able to be on for hours at a time, just because I got 3 kids and a newborn and a wife that, you know, will
Well, maybe we could
crucify
do
me.
that. Maybe that could be what's once a month, Josh, is that once a month we could do the radio spot. And then maybe after that, there's an open Zoom, or maybe the whole Zoom is open too. I don't know. We can talk about it, but yeah, any of those would work for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll play around with that, I think. And that once a month more official check-in on, here's kind of the status report of, okay, here's what our ETH is doing. Here's what this liquidity pool is doing. Here's what this liquidity pool is doing. Here's some of the changes that I made. We're at X dollars. We were at Y dollars, right? Giving those updates, I think, is going to be important. And then also maybe gives me an opportunity to then say, hey, that you know, DeFi Kingdoms pairing that we were working on, well, I was in there for a little while, but actually transferred over to this. And so people can get a sense of like what the hell is going on inside there too. You know, I'm fine giving those kind of updates. And it also give an opportunity, I think, if in 30 days you go, no, I don't think I want Josh managing or whatever, like that's fine too, man. You know, I'm trying to help all of us out essentially. So, you know, I'm stepping up because other people really didn't put anything out there to say, hey, I want to manage it in this shape or form. And I think a couple of you guys though have said like, you know, as far as, and Mike mentioned this, maybe like adding, you know, to the collective idea and talking more about it. Like I would love to have more engagement as well. I mentioned the Discord as much as I can, and that's a good spot to engage on the crypto side of things and say, hey, what about, you know, this coin, or what about this pairing or whatever? Bring stuff to my attention too, right? Because I'm just a dude who's watching stuff. I mean, things will get by me. I will miss stuff 100%. There's just too much shit going on. So if you've got a good idea or you think that, hey, maybe we should incorporate this as to how we're managing the treasury, well, shit, fire away, man. Like you know, I'm more than happy to take ideas and, you know, see what we can maybe, you know, do to make some, you know, good use of our funds here. Okay, I see a couple hands up. So Johnny, you were popping your hand up there first.
I coming in okay? So I'm driving, so
We hear you.
I'll be quick. Yeah, I can help out with the radio, and I'll be more active too with the Discord and stuff. Just this spring has been a 200% workload with just livestock, and then there's no time for anything else. But yeah, I don't know if you caught most of that.
No, we got all that. Yeah, thank you. That would be helpful. And man, I know you got lots of good ideas too. So I'm trying to check in more on the Telegram chats as I can. But I'm notoriously bad about that. Just like James was saying, he's notoriously bad about Discord. So whatever, it is what it is.
Oh, and I just wanted to say, like, I meant to go on Discord just to do that vote, but it's okay. Like, the one that had the most was where my hand was going to go anyway. So all good.
Cool. All right, I see Tease has got his hand up. What's up, my man? Long time no talk.
Yeah, long time no talk. Hey, really dumb. I'm really the most noob here because you're. It seems like you guys sometimes dropped in are more aware of all this crypto thing. For me, the moment is maybe now just to maybe jump in. And my question is, what's the minimum to sort of jump in? And or is there because I heard you guys talk about up until this point, people can join and not later than that. So I just want some clarity on that. Is there a specific date before I can sort of opt in with you as the chief hunter? And is there also an opt out, or is that only after a certain amount of time? Yeah.
That's a good question. And maybe James can tackle that one too. We haven't really talked about how people can pull funds out of the DAO treasury. And the idea is that, and even when I gave my money in there too, right? I don't really anticipate like a pullout date, right? Or an exit strategy. Like I have no fucking exit strategy. The way I look at this is I've made a donation to our community, and this is going to grow and help our community for whatever purpose. Now, we have talked about that as our treasury grows, people that are sachem that have given as founders of the DAO treasury will get some kind of yield return back to them too. I don't think we're anywhere near that stage yet, as to even be able to talk and say, hey man, maybe in a year or something like that, or 6 months, could be sooner, whatever. I don't know. I just don't think that right now we're kind of at that stage to even articulate what that looks like. So I would only say to you, and like I said, James may have a different opinion on this, but my opinion would be put into the DAO treasury money that you just want to donate to the community, and that maybe you'll get something back in the future. Maybe you won't. I don't know. That's the way that I looked at it. And I think that would be an appropriate view on it. Now, it could benefit you. We'll see. But I think that taking that approach is my
okay. Now I get that. And is there still a time frame to become one of the founders, or is that time frame already closed?
No, it hasn't closed. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how the DAO works. So, the warm smell of colitas is. These things are. I think we're working on providing them. And one of the ways that we would have that is if the treasury is large enough to where there was a yield, that yield could be spent, just as an example, on this Morales plugin, where it would be super easy for anyone to join the DAO, or a governance system that we build out that would actually allow you to have an exit strategy where you could join the DAO whenever you want, and you could leave the DAO whenever you want. I don't want to get too technical, but technically, we could set up our own liquidity pool for sachem and put that on one of the exchange sites. And anyone who wants to join the DAO would then have to go to the exchange and buy sachem, or anyone who wants to leave the DAO would go to the exchange and sell their sachem. That's where we want to go. We're not there yet. we've got a long ways to go. We're pretty close in the sense of there's a lot of momentum and a lot of progress. And I think Josh is a really important part of this, getting this part started. The Treasury itself, I think, acts as sort of like a magnet. It allows you to sort of showcase to the rest of the world, hey, there is this community here. We're actually kind of serious. We've got a Treasury and things like that, and we're building things and whatnot. So I think our first step is education, really focusing on that. We've done a lot in those kinds of ways. Being a founder right now, the investment it really takes, Tees, is more like calories and less about money. Being comfortable enough to send money to an Ethereum wallet that's the DAO wallet is quite a big chunk for people to bite off right now. And that's kind of where we're at, is we're seeing who's willing to make those chunks and to kind of take that initiative and show forth, which is why back in January, I was saying founders are going to be, have to be rewarded more than anyone else, because they were the ones that were physically here building the foundation, pouring the concrete before anyone kind of got to come and enjoy the party, so to speak. So once we have these things, well, they're congealing around us, maybe not as fast as I'd like, but as they congeal, I think these questions will just make more sense. Right now, like Adam, for example, has put in a lot of calories. I think he just posted a link here too of how to join the Dojo Worth DAO. And it's sort of like a walking instruction step by step through how to go through that stuff. After the Founders is closed, I think we as a group probably collectively would agree that we wouldn't want anyone to have to go through this kind of difficulty to join the DAO, and that there would be a much easier way, which we put into place because we as a group set up, as an example, maybe a liquidity pool where you could actually buy and join the DAO, things like that. So we're here. All we really have is like unbridled virgin land, which is just our collective structure here. And it's just all potential at this point, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, I was just asking because I got new stuff to focus on. So I shared with you, maybe Josh wasn't aware, since this week I'm officially divorced. so that makes that broadens my scope on other things like this. So so that hence my question.
Mhm.
Yep. And it's a good one and a popular one. That's really where it's at. And I'm just now getting back on my feet too, in my own kind of way. So this is why it's really great that Josh, that this is even happening right now with Josh. I think this is a good torque in the engine, so to speak, to get us going. So really excited about
Thanks.
this.
Hey, maybe before popping over, Lisa and Adam, I see you guys with your hands up, but I want to share my screen one more time. So this maybe talks a little bit to more of the vision of where we could go. We've talked about like minting NFTs. So look at these funky little JPEGs right here, right? Look at these dudes. There are so many different NFTs that are out there. And these in particular, this one's worth $10,000, or actually, sorry, $5,000 right now, maybe a little bit more like that, $6,000 or $7,000. We eventually, and we've talked about this, is minting NFTs for holders. And this is an example of how someone could become a founder by buying an NFT either through a mint, which is like an initial offering, or on the secondary market, when a founder sells their NFT, they can go buy it from somebody else and just state your price, right? These NFTs in particular, they generate a token called Forge every single day. So if you own one, you generate Forge by nature of owning that NFT. At some point in the future, it's possible that we could mint our own NFT, have our own liquidity pool, like James mentioned, and we could have our own Sachem token that would generate on a daily basis. And this token right here, it's worth $1 per token, essentially. So 50 Forge equals 1 Solana, which is $56.39. So it's like $1 per token. So these are generating, I don't know, call it $10 a day, essentially, for owning one of these things. So if you generated $10 a day every single day out of the year, that's $3,650 in your pocket, for example. I don't want to like promise that that's exactly what it's going to look like, or potential earnings or yield or whatever, but it's entirely possible, because what happens with this whole NFT market is people buy into these NFTs because the community has some value. There's some vision as to what we want to do together as a community. And if there's enough people that want to buy into them, they'll have more value, right? So that might be, you know, the nature where somewhere down the line, we progress to that type of model where we have NFTs that are kind of your lanyard of ownership, that you're part, you know, founder of the tribe, and that you'll get some reward based off the work that we're doing. And that largely has to do with how we grow our treasury, how we use our assets, what are we doing from a community perspective. So do we have campground? Are there educational things that we're doing together? Like that'll provide the token or whatever value in of itself. I just want to interject there because it's kind of along the lines of what you guys were talking about. But Lisa, I think I saw your hand up next. Sorry, James, I'm just grabbing mod here. But Lisa, I saw your hand up, so I'll pass it to you.
Hi, thanks, Josh. Thanks for all the work you put into it. I'm interested in the NFTs. That's what I was gonna bring up, because I think of them as the seed. Like I would like to participate in helping make those come into being. I'm like, that's where I'm interested, and maybe like I could learn how, and then I don't know, put together something that would teach how. And I did that. That's the kind of things that interest me, because, and then also I'm curious about programming them to be like little contracts for doing business, like branding and marketing and all these kinds of ideas that we could come up with could be minted into the NFTs. And then when the NFT, over a very much longer period of time, like, I don't know how time's going to go in the future, but they could, anyway, I like those ideas. So, and I just have a question about Sachem. I haven't been able to track that, what that is. That's a token that we need, that we're using. I don't understand that.
Sort of, kind of, not yet. So the idea initially was people would give to the DAO Treasury, and then we would have a cutoff date, and presumably we will at some point. And I put in the chat that basically we'll cut that off when we're ready to cut it off. I think we'll just put forward a vote and say this is it, and we'll cut it off, right? And just kind of like I step forward and just put a proposal out there. I think somebody will just put a proposal out there, and we'll just cut off when people can come in. At that time, that would sort of be the line of demarcation as to when we say, okay, well, now it's closed. Now I think we would mint those Sachem token, and we would distribute it based off of how much each person has in the DAO Treasury. And then you would get some proportional share of the Sachem tokens. There might only be 19 of them, but you get a proportional share of it, right? We kind of haven't articulated exactly how we want that to work either, but those will be your founder tokens. You know, maybe we'll do that in NFT fashion instead of tokens to start. I think there's plenty of room for conversation as to how we want that to look, but that's sort of the general idea. So right now, James, they technically exist. There are Sachem tokens that are out there, but we're not actually using them for anything, and we haven't provided liquidity. They're also not a means by, you know, giving you power from a voting perspective either. So all of those things will come. But just as we're moving slowly, I think we can move slowly on that there too.
Yeah, it was basically we test minted Sachem because we just wanted to see if it would work, and not if, but more like how it would work and how it would flow. The reason why we haven't actually distributed this officially yet, Lisa, is because we built this thing. Our wallet is built on the Ethereum network, which is just kind of pricey. And if we were to transact and distribute NFTs to everybody, someone who maybe gave $20 to the DAO, is now actually having to spend like $45. We as the DAO would have to, I'm just making these numbers up, but we as the DAO would have to spend like $45 to send them a this NFT because we're on the Ethereum network. So this is how we get started. Eventually, you're going to find that and we've already sort of done this. We're going to say, hey, have you guys ever heard of Gnosis Chain? And no one, and it's going to be crickets. No one's heard of Gnosis Chain. And then I tell Josh about Gnosis Chain. Then Josh checks it out. Then Josh knows about Gnosis Chain. Then Josh and I are going back and forth with Gnosis Chain, playing around with it. This is the organic process as this happens. Eventually, I think you will see maybe a Solana NFT, maybe Avalanche. I'm just making these up, but you're going to find that when we're ready for the NFT is the exact same time when we're ready to close down the founders. And now we're going into the members phase where you could be a member, but not necessarily a founder. And that's when I think the founder tokens really make a lot of sense as to why they're kind of more valuable, because it's more of like a piece of the actual DAO itself, versus a member as someone who's just participating and interacting with the DAO in some way. Until we get there though, everything really is just more talk right now, just because for us to even pull the trigger, we'd be losing a lot of that money in the treasury. And I just don't want us to do that yet. So it's teetering right now because we haven't actually fully started. And we're starting to fully start because now we have a treasurer, for example, or it looks like we're about to. So even believe it or not, even Josh stepping up to treasurer is kind of making other people, including me, have to do things now that we just haven't been able to do before. So I think you'll slowly start to see this thing congeal. Maybe not even slowly. Maybe it'll just, the momentum will just pick up and it'll just take off. So hope that helps.
Yeah, it actually raises another question then. For doing a proposal, because I remember back there was a place you could go to do a proposal. Is that something, if that still exists?
Yeah, that's on Gnosis Chain. It's a governance token site that I just found one day and showed it to Josh. Josh and I discussed it, and we just said, yeah, let's just play around with it. And so we put some test things on there. You're welcome to hit that site whenever you want. Check it out yourself, and maybe that'll be one of the next things we do. I can say that Gnosis Chain has gotten more popular since we brought it up, which I think is really, really positive in the sense of it might be the perfect thing that we've chosen. I think the only thing that's really stopping us at this point is just some calories, putting some more calories into the Gnosis Chain side of that, and just kind of slowly building it out from there. The Sesam tokens that we've tested are actually living on that Gnosis Chain inside that site that is still there. So you'll see that one day we minted one token and I sent it to Josh. And then the next day I minted 19 tokens. And then we had to destroy one token forever by casting it into the fire of eternal abyss. So we sent one token to 0.00000. This is just us learning how this is all brand new to us too. So basically all those things being done on Gnosis Chain probably cost maybe like $17. Like maybe it's not even that much, but I'm just thinking like if everybody was voting and everybody was joining, all those processes would be a lot more affordable, which is why we chose this Gnosis Chain as a possibility for our governance, for our founder tokens, for our Sesam tokens and things like that. Sorry, this is so technical, but once we release from founders and go into members, I don't think that you will find that most of the public is going to be interacting so much with Gnosis Chain. Gnosis Chain is going to be more of for a backend for the founders to interact. The members would actually probably be more participating in something a little bit more mainstream, something that's not quite so hard to switch their network over to Gnosis and start talking on the Gnosis Chain. I could be wrong about that. It could be that all of a sudden things are remarkably easy. For example, the moment you could buy XI on a major network and send it to us would be another avenue that we would have to distribute Sesam tokens, because people could then give directly to the DAO via Gnosis Chain instead of Ethereum. God, I'm so sorry. This probably sounds awfully complicated, but this is just this is
It's
why
not.
we're learning and going through all these different things right now, just to kind of try them on and see what works and what doesn't.
And I think to add to that, I think that part of that answer is, as of like right now, this moment, it's on Discord. Like that's where Josh's proposal was. It's on Discord, and James is talking about a future state. But I don't think, like, James, we can go on to Gnosis Chain right now. Like we'd have to like build that from the ground up, it sounds like.
Well, we have built, there is actually a site that does have that. The DAO does have a URL on Gnosis Chain. And if you were to go there, the first thing you notice is, oh, I need XDAI. And if I have XDAI, I can join this DAO, the Dojo Word DAO, with XDAI and start participating in their system. It is sort of like, kind of like a test kind of run. So it's not like Josh and I are having, oh God, someone voted, now we have to do this. It's nothing like that right now, but eventually it could be. That's kind of why we felt this was the first thing to find is a home where the DAO could actually be, have a voting system in place, a system where people could join, and it's just kind of a test bed we've been using. Yeah, so it's probably just as real as Discord if you think about it. It's just that Discord is the easiest way for Josh to publish content that everyone else can see.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. That's a lot.
Discord would never be able to do the voting, although you could certainly see there's some great easy things to do with voting on Discord right now, which is what Josh did, which is perfect. Discord would never be able to replace what we'd be doing on Gnosis Chain or on some other governance chain, by the way. Just so you know, the Gnosis Chain is actually the smart contract that runs our DAO, our organization. We haven't actually given the Treasury over to this chain yet, because we're human right now, and we don't want to accidentally turn this over and it not work the way we want it to, which is part of why we're just waiting right now. We trust ourselves more than we trust the smart contract that we might accidentally write wrong or have a mistake in there. So if you can imagine, you'll go to Gnosis Chain and you'll sort of see a test bed that's been built, and that's actually what's already there. And just the more we test, the more we feel confident with it. And one day I think Josh and myself and others too will just feel nervous about, hey, I don't like having all this control over the entire Treasury. I'd rather it be locked into this DAO that's more accessible. That actually protects me, protects Josh, it protects everyone that's part of the organization. But that's when the liquidity pool comes in. That's when you could get mad and say, well, screw you guys, I'm selling my founders tokens, and then go online and sell them, and now they're gone. And 3 days later, oh, I really regret that, I should buy them back, and all that stuff. That would then be automated fully by the system. And that's what I want ultimately, because that's really what would form this the DAO itself, and give it teeth, and give it the influence it needs, to where there's not just one of us that could just have a weird motorcycle accident or jump a deck or something weird like that, and all that just be gone because it was under one person's control versus the DAO control.
Well,
Adam, did you want to share some more? Yeah.
Yep. So I got to jump here shortly, but something I think would be useful, and I'm willing to put the effort into doing that, would be building up the continuity between these meetings. Like there's a couple of these topics that have come up that like I already have notes on them from the earlier meetings, and I'll share my screen in a moment. I can show those, and like I put a link to it in chat. But I think for just benefit of having the most interesting ideas bubble up to the top, if everyone had access to like, hey, here's notes from the past 2 meetings, and here's like a summarized meta of like where each of these is at. So I'll share my screen and just show an example of that real quick. And I think in running these meetings in the future, like apart from a prepared presentation or like prepared information from like Josh or James, like general updates, then I think going over to like a list and at least just picking some topics from there, or having it as context for everybody, and then going into like the free form conversation would help a lot, I think, and save time and talk more about the important topics. So like, for example, the last meeting we had, these are the notes that I took from it from 2 weeks ago. Some of these topics kind of came up, terms that came back again. We talk about Gnosis chain, talk about potentially minting NFTs, and then same thing for today. So this might live in a Word document. We could move this to a Google Doc. We could eventually move it to like some kind of more public shared website or links around the Discord. I'm agnostic about that, but I do think it's important to come away from each meeting with like, here's a set of minutes, either things that were discussed or things that were decided, or documenting a general sentiment that was even in the meeting. And then boiling that down so then we can have like a meta of like, here's everything that's current, lists of people interested in certain topics, general ideas, like here's all the ideas that have come up about what we could use DAO funds for. Some things like maybe even recruiting, or the YouTube channel has been brought up. So just examples. So I propose in future meetings, I could like share it out or just bring some attention to it at the beginning for people to go look it up if they want to have it on their screen.
I think what might be helpful for that, and this is awesome, because having these meetings is one thing, but then also being able to take the information that we're talking about here and distill it down and do something with it is just as important. We can put that right in the Discord. There's an area that I call like our tribal tapestry, which is just sort of the announcements. So after each of the meetings, we can post the meeting notes of what happened right there, and it'll just live there forever. People can go back and check it. They can look at the most current ones. But that's just one place, and most of us don't use the Discord. So I think we should do that, but we should also send out an email to everyone who's on the Crypto Dojo distribution list after the meeting runs. When the, I don't know how we want to do it, maybe for, when the next meeting is scheduled, it should have the meeting notes on there. So that way people can see, what happened at the last Crypto Dojo. Maybe that's the way we do it. Maybe we post it in the Discord, post it in Telegram, right? So people can read it that way too. Although Telegram, it tends to get lost sometimes, although you can pin that stuff in Telegram. And then maybe we just attach it as a, body of the email, or as an attachment to the email that gets sent out. Like, this is what happened at the last Crypto Dojo, right? And it's just kind of a blurb there too. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that might be a good way to get some more people engaged in it that aren't in the Discord, aren't on Telegram, but they do get the email notifications. That could be a good way to go about it.
I have to jump then. So Josh and
Adam, I just put that link in the chat that I saw in the minutes. You didn't have that link, but in the chat is the link to that Gnosis Chain DAO governance website, if anyone wants to check that out.
Perfect. Cool. I'll send this to James and Josh, and then we'll figure out how to get it out. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Adam.
That link isn't working for me. Tried in Chrome and in Safari.
Let me try that.
I actually haven't tried it. Sorry, your connection is not private. Looks like there's a cert error.
Yeah, go past the secure thing.
It tries to sell you the domain.
Oh, interesting. Alchemy.do. Yeah, buy this domain, alchemy.do.
Wow. Thank you. Sorry, David. I should have checked that. This was working a month ago.
Yeah, earlier today, I was hoping this might have been a more current link. So,
well, maybe while we figure that out, definitely do stuff in the Discord for now, but we'll have something back up on the Gnosis chain. Maybe it's just a link to Windows update or something like that. We'll have to figure that one out. But yeah, good catch. I didn't look at that either. I haven't checked out the Gnosis chain in a little while myself either. So I've been doing stuff on Discord. I've been trying to get more conversation going that way, and then through the Zoom calls that we have here too. Well, open forum beyond the stuff that we just talked about. I don't have a lot other to add. I'll, start getting to work on the Treasury side of things. Look at some of the LP pairings, some liquidity pools, to see where we can start earning some yield. And then the idea will be to keep everyone updated, and we'll, talk back again at the next Zoom call. I might try and link up with James here and see if we can't do something on Dojo Earth Radio, maybe on a more regular basis, to just chat about kind of the weather in crypto, right? And talk about what's happening there. It might be interesting even from time to time, because there's stuff like, the Luna Terra thing that goes down, and people are probably reading all kinds of crazy stuff on the internet as to what it is, what it isn't, where it came from. It makes for good, interesting conversation, and to learn more about what's happening in the crypto space, because there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, right? It's the Wild West too. So I think it's also one where you got to be careful about where you're kind of sticking your nose and where you're putting money in there as well. But yeah, open forum, guys. Anyone else want to chime in or new conversation?
I'm going to look for that link right now. And I think we're good, except for thanks for being the treasurer, Josh. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Same.
I'll take on that responsibility and do the best I can for us, right? So I've got some shekels in there too. I want to see it grow for all of us, and we'll see what we can do with it.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Really appreciate that.
Mhm.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. If I can get this link working, I'll send it to Adam. It'll be in the minutes, and I'm going to upload this Zoom to Dojo Earth channel, so I can put it down there too. So we can hopefully get back to the site and you can look at it again. So.
Is everybody here Sachem, by the way? In the Discord, I have to give you access to the Sachem channel. So the way I've got it set up is if you just go and you join that Discord link, and did I post it recently? Yeah, I'll put the Discord link in one more time. You probably already have it. But if you join the Discord, you won't be able to access the Sachem channel, which is where the vote was. And I purposely did that because I only wanted people that gave to the DAO Treasury to have access to actually vote on it, which would make sense. So if you don't have access to that, or you're not Sachem in Discord, you'll know because when you type something in there, your name is going to be white instead of red. So if it's not red, you're not Sachem. That just means that you need to message me in the Discord. My name in the Discord is Full Meta Alchemist. So you'll see messages from me in there, but you can message me, or you could just drop something in the Discord channel itself. The Longhouse is typically the area where we just hang out. You can send a message in Crypto Dojo. I'll basically see it anywhere it goes. It just depends on how quick I'll see it. If you tag me, if you do @ my name, then it pings me. So I have a message from you. So I get a notification. So just some quick how-to tips on the Discord thing, but that's how you want to get in there. I'll make you Sachem, and then you guys can see and vote on future stuff there too. I don't think it's super vital you need to do that, but the more that we start using, I think it'll be beneficial.
One other thing I just came to mind was with the radio show. It probably would be great if it could be on a regular day, say, even if it had to be pre-recorded, as opposed to live, just so everyone would know when to expect it.
Yeah, it's really hard to do things non-weekly. I've just noticed that the audience really it's easy for them to say, yeah, Tuesdays or whatever. But I don't want to push Josh too much, and we'll play with that, because I'm still getting ramped up anyway with everything, just with the way everything's been going. So
yeah, well, I guess I meant more so whenever the updates were, if they were at the same day, if it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, but even if it had to be pre-recorded as opposed to going live, say, for an update, I think that might help people to go, oh no, it's time for an update type of thing, as to not knowing when it may or may not happen.
Well, I'll tell you now, I'm definitely committed to, on the full moon, coming back in and giving the next update 28 days from now. So that is definitely going to be the next time that you'll hear from me, unless there's something in the interim that we chat about, or another crypto dojo or whatever. But that'll be the next, cycle to get the update. And then as I can do more, we'll try and do more regular stuff there too. But I'm trying not to overcommit myself either, because I got a couple things that I'm working on here, with kids, and I changed my job and I'm building a new business here too. So that's taken up a good considerable amount of my time, but yeah.
All right, guys. Any more business?
Hey, I see Antonio.
Can't hear you.
Hey, you're muted. You're muted. No,
So
I can
he's not-
see.
you
I
might
see
have-
the lips moving, but I can't hear you.
He's pulling a James True.
Yeah, I don't know. Something with the mic, it's not working, because I see what you weren't muted, but we couldn't hear you.
He had a camera
Unfortunately.
issue earlier too. Might be related.
I don't know. Wait, let's see if we got him now.
Can you hear this?
Yep.
Yeah, there he is.
All right. I was just gonna say that Gwen, every time you come up, she's like, "Damn it! I wish Josh would return to Dojo." So she misses you.
So was she on Dojo? Was that Friday? Were you guys chatting?
No, I want to show her our last Friday Dojo. That's when that came up specifically. But
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
oh, and Johnny, I just want to say the first time when I first glanced at that bottle in your picture, I thought it said Russian Scandal.
Mhm.
I guess that's so in the zeitgeist. Anyway, but cool stuff. It was cool to listen to.
Yeah, and you're one of my Loot Heroes brothers over there too. So you're getting in the JPEG game with me. I appreciate that. Yeah. We got some interesting things cooking on that side. So we'll that's conversation for another day, but shoot, that could be one that could be, pretty lucrative. We'll see. If not, it'd be a fun game to play. And
It's
whatever.
definitely an interesting experience already. So I've been enjoying it.
Teaches you something, right? I mean, the more you start to just delve into these things, you start to learn a little bit more about them too. So like everything, there's a learning curve to it. Cool. Well, I think that's probably it, guys, right? Anybody else got something they want to say? Otherwise, good meeting. Glad to be your treasurer here. I'll start putting some stuff to work, and we'll get you guys into the Discord hopefully and start chatting some more there, and get some more proposals to do some stuff. I can't remember who the fellow was that was chatting in the Discord, because his name is not his actual name. It's like, well, whatever. But I'm guessing he's not here, because there was some proposals that he was chatting about. So like, I'd love if some of the people that are talking in the Discord and have some proposals, would come onto these dojos too, and chat about them here. It's one thing to talk about in the Discord, which is nice, but this is a good forum to, workshop some things together and figure out what we want to do. So, all right.
All right,
See
guys.
you guys.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
good one. Thanks a lot, Josh. We'll be in touch.
Don't ever get vaccinated. Yeah, Johnny. We're good there. That's a good way to end it. See you guys.
Thanks
Take
all.
care.